color corrector.
It just starts right now.
place. No time to get over all the sober times. Always a running time. That Friday night date, my sweetheart, already late. The car won't start. Lord, I feel like taking that car to ride. Yeah, I'm always running behind. All my life, been this way. $1 short and one day late. One on lower on the ladder I'm trying to climb. If I ever get lucky, if I ever get rich, gonna throw my life up out of this ditch. Watch the world go by while I'm unwind. Yeah, I'm always running behind. All my life, been this way. $1 short, one day late. One on lower on the ladder I'm trying to climb. If I ever get lucky, if I ever get rich, gonna throw my life up out of this ditch. Watch the world go by while I unwind. Yeah, I'm always running behind. Lord, I'm always running behind. Oh, Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome your 1992-93 Iowa FFA officers. I'm always nowhere. On my own, like God's our boy. I don't see, I'm laying nowhere. I should run the door and talk to business on a Saturday afternoon. Jack of light, I'm waiting in the open. Saying things that can't be told. Burning bright, a fireplace.
The auditorium will come to order. We're now holding the second session of the 65th Annual Iowa FFA Leadership Conference. Mr. Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers, determine if they're at their stations, and report back to you, Mr. President. The Sentinel. Station by the door. Your duties there. Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and paraphernalia. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the President in maintaining order.
The reporter. The reporter is stationed by the flag. Why by the flag? As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform the people, in order that every man, woman, and child may know
that the FFA is a national organization that reaches from the state of Alaska to Puerto Rico and from the state of Maine to Hawaii.
The Treasurer,
Stationed at the emblem of Washington,
your duties there.
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements, just as Washington kept his farm accounts carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among the members and strive to build up our financial standing through savings and investment. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The Secretary,
Stationed by the ear of corn,
your duties there.
I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet.
The Advisor,
Here by the owl.
why by the owl?
The owl is the time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I am asked to advise you from time to time as the need arises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripened with wisdom. Mr. Vice President, why do you keep a plow at your station?
The plow is a symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization and presiding over the meetings in the absence of our President, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
Why is the President so stationed?
The rising sun is a token of a new era in agriculture. If we will follow the leadership of our President, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Mr. President, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Secretary will call the roll of members.
Mr. President, I am pleased to announce that at this, the second session of the 1993 FFA State Leadership Conference, there are 204 chapters and 2,852 barracks members and guests present.
Thank you. FFA members, why are we here? To practice brotherhood, honor agricultural opportunities and responsibilities, and develop those qualities of leadership which an FFA member should possess. May we accomplish our purposes. I now declare this, the second session of the 65th Annual State Leadership Conference, duly open for the transaction of business or attention to any matter which may properly be presented. Welcome to the second action-packed session of the 1993 State Leadership Conference. This morning we will recognize foundation sponsors. Distinguished and special recognition awards will go out to those who have done outstanding service on our behalf. And also we will recognize award winners in 29 proficiency areas for their outstanding SAE program. The only way to appropriately prepare for a session with this much excitement is with a word of prayer. I now call on an FFA member from Sigourney with a family history deeply rooted in the FFA. Her uncle and one brother are currently in the ag teaching profession, while her other brother served as the state vice president from the Southeast District in 1989 and 90. She has made a name for herself, though, as well, serving as a Southeast District officer and a state fair grandstand usher for 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Becky Striegel for this morning's invocation.
Please bow your heads for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to gather today. Please keep us safe and let all of us show our given talents to the best of our abilities. Let us enjoy this time together and remember it always. In your name we pray. Amen.
Becky, thanks for being an active participant in the 65th Annual State Leadership Conference. I wish you the best of luck in the future, and thank you for everything you've done in the past for the FFA.
All right, Becky!
As FFA members, we certainly appreciate the friendliness and cooperation we receive from the city of Des Moines. Whether we're walking the Skywalk or taking advantage of the awesome tours held during the conference, it's always fun to share a bit of the action of the FFA with the people of Des Moines. We're honored this morning to host the person who provides leadership and direction to the new style American city we're in this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm FFA-style welcome to the Mayor of Des Moines, the Honorable John Pat Dorian.
Good morning. And on behalf of myself and the other members of the Des Moines City Council, I'm pleased to welcome each and every one of you to the city of Des Moines. We here in Des Moines have the opportunity to host a lot of events in the city, and especially here at Veterans Memorial Auditorium, but this is the highlight. We have the state wrestling and girls and boys basketball tournaments, and some of you may have been here for those, but we really look forward to the Blue Jackets here in the city of Des Moines. It is the highlight of all of the events, and I say that sincerely. We know that a lot of people, they wonder about the future of the country and whose hands it's going to be in. All they have to do is come down here in April to an FFA conference, and I know that they, like myself, would realize that the future of the country is going to be in good hands. You are the future leaders of the cities, the counties, the state, and our federal government. And I'm thoroughly convinced that we're in real good hands. The city of Des Moines is extremely proud that you're here in Des Moines and that this conference, at least in part, is preparing you for your leadership roles as leaders of the cities and the counties and the states and our federal government. We'd like to call on you to do one other thing. As a new style American city, we have to keep things going, and sometimes that's difficult. You take strolls down through the skywalks. We built them for your use, but they have another purpose. It's kind of to the side, but I like to mention it. That while you're going through those skywalks, we hope that you find something good to eat. We hope that you find some wares that you just can't resist buying and taking back home, and that you spend a lot of money while you're here, because that's how we keep things going. But seriously, you are the highlight of all the events that come to the city of Des Moines, and you are the future leaders, and we're extremely proud to be the host city for your 65th conference. We hope that you have a good conference, you enjoy yourself while you're here, and you come back often. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, these FFA members out here this morning have given me many things over the course of my life, but very, very rarely has it ever been money. So I wish you the best of luck. The capital city of Des Moines is more than our host, it's our home at least once a year. Thank you for opening your doors to the FFA and inviting us into your wonderful city.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
FFA members, without the support and guidance of our strong FFA alumni members in Iowa, I sometimes think we'd just be a bunch of kids running around lost at times. They are strong individuals with FFA in their heart who bond together to do the little things, which make a big difference. At this time, I invite the Iowa FFA Alumni Association President to the podium for the presentation of the FFA Alumni Public Relations Awards and the FFA Alumni Scholarship. FFA members, please greet Dwayne Flathers with the same type of enthusiasm and support our FFA alumni have always shown us.
The Iowa FFA Alumni Association is a support group working with the FFA members. We help in every way we can on the state level through supporting the FFA programs and the ag education in Iowa. Some of the ways that we support the FFA is running the supply service here at the convention, which is in the back. We're also helping with the silent auction here at the convention. We're also sponsoring a proficiency award this year, and we try to do this every year. This way we're putting money back into the association. We're also sponsoring 2 workshops this afternoon. One will be presented about the alumni, which will be a skit this afternoon. We hope everybody that's interested in alumni, please show up. Another thing we're doing is sponsoring the administration and guidance counselors forum this afternoon. This is our way of supporting through the schools and education programs, which will be held this afternoon at the Best Western. Another thing is we're always supporting every way we can through on the state level. From the standpoint when the foundation's in trouble or needs some financial help, we're always there. Our treasurer's note is made up for one reason only, and that is to support the FFA. Today I'm happy to be able to award 41 publicity awards and 1 scholarship for the WCP program that's valued at $450. Thank you.
Receiving the awards today in the participation area, the Roland Story FFA chapter at Story City, the St. Ansgar FFA, the Dexfield FFA chapter at Redfield, the Mediapolis FFA, Williamsburg FFA, the Lakeside FFA chapter at Ventura, the Sioux Center FFA chapter, the Red Oak FFA, the Pleasantville FFA chapter, the Osage FFA, the West Delaware chapter at Manchester, the Harris Lake Park FFA chapter, the G&G chapter at Guttenberg, the Clay Central Everly FFA chapter, the Decorah FFA chapter, and the Audubon FFA. Receiving silver awards, the Mid-Prairie FFA chapter at Bowman, the Washington FFA, the Tipton FFA chapter, the Marengo FFA, the Southeast Warren FFA chapter at Liberty Center, the Louisa Muscatine FFA chapter at Flex, the Knoxville FFA, the Keota FFA chapter, the Harlan FFA, the Prairie Valley FFA chapter at Gallery, the Fredericksburg FFA chapter, Esterville FFA, the West Dubuque chapter at Epworth, the Valley FFA chapter at Elgin, the Central Lee FFA chapter at Donaldson, the Maquoketa Valley FFA at Delhi, the Creston FFA, the Cascade FFA chapter, the United chapter at Boone, and the Alburnett FFA chapter. Receiving gold awards, the Sibley of Cheaton FFA chapter, the Rockwell Sheffield FFA, the Nashua Plainfield FFA chapter, the West Lyon FFA chapter at Inwood, and the Eddyville FFA chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, receiving second place with an engraved plaque, the reporter is Derwin Martin at the West Lyon FFA chapter of Inwood. And receiving first place, there are 2 reporters at this chapter, Brian Davis and Charles Ludwig of the Eddyville FFA chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, let us congratulate our winners this morning. Receiving the WCP scholarship is Becky Nix of the Northern Butler FFA chapter of Greene. Let us congratulate our scholarship recipient this morning.
Ray Hansen from United Community School to present the Rising Star Award.
It's my honor to be here today to help present the first of what we hope will be a long-standing and traditional award entitled the Rising Star Award. The Rising Star Award has been established by the United Community FFA Alumni Boom to recognize an outstanding new FFA member that has shown outstanding potential in their first year and a half involvement in ag education. This award was established as a memorial for Ferris George. He was a charter member of the National FFA organization, where as a 13-year-old attending the Kelly High School just south of Ames, he joined his ag class and took to Kansas City to meet and help form this fine FFA organization. We were thrilled to have a member that was involved in that be in our local community. Ferris was also a member of our United Community FFA alumni, a genuine supporter of agriculture, and a dear friend of every young person that he met. In its first year, we had over 40 applicants for this award, with 5 of the 6 districts in the state being represented. From their applications, these 5 contestants behind me have been chosen and went through an interview process at the FFA Alumni Convention this winter. The criteria included all aspects of involvement in FFA, as well as their applications and their interview process at the state convention. The overall winner needed to not only be involved in agriculture and FFA, but they had to be able to express their interests and concerns about agriculture and FFA. We found that all the contestants excelled in one or more areas, but the winner needed to show strength in all these areas. Real briefly, I'd like to introduce the 5 district representatives and very briefly tell you about some of their activities and then introduce the first ever Rising Star State winner. In no particular order, our first representative was from the North Central District, Carrie Fisher from the West Bend Hawkeye chapter. She was involved in such activities as being their creed speaker, the state FFA band last year, and her essay included 100 head feeder pigs. From the Northeast District, Brian Bowers from the Albernette FFA. He's involved in many teams, including meat judging, conduct of meetings, and livestock judging. His dual SAE project included feeder pigs and marking over 80 pickup loads of firewood. In the Southeast District, Shay Peterson from the Northeast FFA chapter at Goose Lake. She was on conduct of meetings team, state and national convention, and many other activities in her local FFA chapter. Her SAE included market beef animals. In the South Central District, Heidi Godwin from the Dexfield FFA chapter at Redfield. She was involved in conduct of meetings team, state legislative symposium, state FFA band, and her SAE included diversified livestock of sheep, beef, and rabbits. And from the Southwest District, Andrea Franzine from the Guthrie Center FFA. She was also a creed speaker. She was her chapter secretary last year, a delegate at district and state convention, and her SAE included ownership of over 5 horses and 15 beef cattle. Let's give all these fine contestants a round of applause. Presenting the plaque will be Vic Bassett, the president of the United Community FFA Alumni Chapter. He'll be awarding it to this year and the first ever Rising Star Award to winner Shay Peterson from Goose Lake. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. President, we have an announcement at this time. Would Matthew Scheifman please report to the back of the stage, as well as Justin Hawkins of the Cascade FFA chapter, as well as Harvey Work. That's all I have right now.
You're sure?
Yes.
Thank you. Earlier this morning, Mayor Dorian welcomed us to Des Moines, but it is the Greater Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau who gets us here every year. They do more behind the scenes to make this conference a success than most of us realize. FFA members, it's time to change that by extending a warm welcome to the Director of Sales for the Greater Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau, Mr. Paul Holliday.
Thank you and good morning. Let's try that again. I can't quite hear you. Good morning. You know, we have an expression here in Des Moines, and that is, it must be April, the blue coats are in town. We love it when you come to
town, go to skywalks, that yesterday I heard a new expression. This guy said the turnarounds are in town. I said, what? He said the turnarounds. You know, they walk down the skywalk, and then you have to turn around and look and see what town they're from as they pass you by. So you're the turnaround. We're glad to have you here, and our part in contributing to your convention was putting together the tours. We have 5 great tours for you this year, and I've been told we still have tickets available for Pioneer and for Townsend Engineering. You can pick those tickets up out at the registration area in the lobby. If you're not going to be going on any of those tours, we've also put together some other attractions for you to see while you're in Des Moines. We want you to have a great time. Thank you for coming, and enjoy your stay. Have a great convention. Thank you.
Mr. Holliday, I've only been involved with extensively planning this conference for the past 12 months, but it's obvious to me why we continue to come back to Des Moines year after year. It's the outstanding service we receive from the Greater Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau. Please accept this certificate as a symbol of our appreciation. Last evening, we were inspired by the words of Dan Belzer and Jim Hansen as they concluded their year as state officers. This morning, we're blessed to hear from 4 of your state officers as they each retire as well. At this time, I call on your Northwest State Vice President, Jason Broxus, from the Sibley Ocheyedan FFA chapter to make a very special introduction.
It gives me great honor and pride to introduce this next FFA member to you. Throughout this year, I've got to know this state officer a lot better, whether it was doing chapter visits in the Southeast District or just doing our daily FFA state officer meetings. I've learned that everything this individual does comes from the heart. Everything. He's a real sincere individual. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you for his retiring address entitled Dues Paying Member from the Southeast District, Mr. Brian R. Feldhausch.
How many times have you quit studying for a test because you just didn't think you were smart enough to learn the information? Or how many of you have been like my friends who went out for a contest only to change their minds because they weren't willing to pay their dues to participate? They just didn't think they could learn the skills they needed or sacrifice the time to prepare to excel. You see, none of us, not one of us in this auditorium is limited by the gifts and skills that God gave us. Our only limitation is right here in our mind. Some of us, though, do have limitations. I have a friend back home. He goes to Calvus Whitland High School, not very far from DeWitt. He's been active in the FFA these past years. Travis is his name. See, Travis is just like most of us. He's participated in ag skills contests like livestock judging and welding. He remodeled antique tractors and ag mechanics project, and last year, he earned his Iowa FFA degree as a junior. You see, on the outside, Travis looks like one of us, a normal high school student, and he is. Except, Travis has been deaf and unable to speak since birth. But you see, he didn't let that limitation limit him. Instead, he believed there were many things he could do. All those contests that he went out for, everything that some students just put aside and didn't want to take on, he took on the challenges. He didn't let the skills that God had given him limit him. The next time you're on your way to an obstacle or a goal, you find an obstacle on the way to a goal that you just don't think you can overcome, or a challenge you just don't think you can meet. Think of everybody like Travis, who aren't afraid to take on challenges every day, who believe in themselves and don't let their God-given abilities limit them. You see, because most of us only have one limitation, and that's what I said, right here in our mind. If we believe in ourselves and are willing to put our heart and soul into everything we do, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. However, there are some of us that do have some limitations. I can remember back in kindergarten, there's a boy in my class who had a speech impediment. A lot of kids teased him because he couldn't pronounce words with the letter R in them. I never will forget, each one of us used to take a turn pronouncing that day's date. I remember his day was Thursday, May 3rd. One thing that stands out in my mind and I never will forget is the laughter that broke out in the classroom when that little boy shyly stood and quietly muttered that today was Thursday, May 3rd. After 2 years of speech therapy, his speech impediment was cured. But his shyness and his fear of groups didn't go away that easily. Not until his freshman year in high school, when he got involved in his first FFA contest. He started to believe in himself and believe that he could be a leader. See, that little boy was me. And you know, looking back, it was so easy to quit and give up, and I kind of did for a few years. But then once somebody started believing in me, I believed in myself. And when you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't do. You can be the leaders you want to be, attain any goal that you want to attain, because it's all up to you. It's all in your mind. You see, sometimes though, when the challenges are mounting up and the obstacles and hurdles seem almost too much to overcome, then you want to give up. You might want to find another way around paying your dues. But see, there's one price that no one in this auditorium should ever pay. And that price is sacrificing your honor, your honesty, your integrity, and your character. These things are so hard to earn, but very easily lost. When you're facing a challenge that you think is overwhelming, and you just don't think you can take it, I have a few words I want you to keep in mind. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low, and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you just have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Because success is failure turned inside out. The silver tin on clouds of doubt. You never know how close you are. You may be near when it seems so far. FFA members, when things are down, you might want to quit. But then more than any other time, you have to believe in yourself. Because I believe that when you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't accomplish. So remember this and do me this favor. Always remember that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to.
believe in yourself, and don't let the God-given skills that you were born with, or maybe not born with, limit you. Because you truly can move mountains if you're only willing to put your heart and soul into everything you do. Because when you truly believe, there's no obstacle you can't overcome, and no goal you can't attain. There are plenty of rewards to be had by those members who are willing to pay their dues. And for me, it's been the opportunity to serve you this year as a state officer. The chance to meet so many great FFA members like yourselves. And I thank you for that, because my year wouldn't have been the same without each and every one of you. This morning when I came into this auditorium at 7 o'clock, I was really nervous about giving this speech. I was scared to death, pacing back and forth. And if the courtesy corps around, they saw me carrying my speech in my hand, all the state officer candidates saw me, I was just pacing back and forth. But I started to talk to them, they made me smile. See, that's what it's all about. It's you, the members, that make me smile, make me happy, and keep me going. And all I can say is thank you. And thank you to my district officers this past year. You made my year memorable. And most of all, to you 8 guys. Jim, Eric, Dan, Jason, David, Alan, Mark, and Dwayne. You guys made it a heck of a year for me. And you guys become like brothers to me. Brothers I never had. FFA members, we have to take the good and bear the bad, because that's part of life. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you.
Mr. President, I have an announcement at this time. Sure. Would a representative from the Algona, the West Union, and the Anamosa FFA chapters, along with Mr. Bud Johnson, please report to the photography room behind the stage for an Experience the Action contest photo. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Earlier this spring, my family finally got that computer we always thought we needed. Turns out we were right. We did need that computer, just as computers have become an everyday part of modern agriculture. The FFA was a little more progressive in their thinking than my family has been, and established a computers and agriculture contest several years ago. Last year, our state winner went on to receive second in the nation, continuing the impressive list of winnings which Iowa FFA members have experienced at the national level. Our state contest this year featured dynamic young individuals, and I'm confident the winner will represent us well on the national level again this November. Mr. Secretary, please introduce to us the first and second place winners in the 1993 FFA Computers in Agriculture Contest.
Sponsoring this year's plaque and the $150 checks is the Computer Room of Armstrong, Iowa. Representing the Computer Room is Vernon York. The second place winner is Matthew Scheitman of the Sioux Center chapter. And the first place winner is Shiloh Jennings of the Starmark chapter at Strawberry Point. Ladies and gentlemen, let us congratulate our winners.
One of the most exciting and rapidly expanding areas of agriculture these days is in the field of agri-science. In 1987, the National FFA Organization established a contest to encourage FFA member participation in science projects having an agricultural focus. It's time to recognize those members who have combined their agricultural knowledge with their science skills to exemplify hands-on learning. Mr. Secretary, please announce Iowa's top budding agri-scientists.
The Agri-Science Student Award plaques for first and second place is sponsored by the American Popcorn Company. The Monsanto Company sponsors the $1,000 check for first place. Receiving second place is Tim O'Brien of Stewart. And the first place winner is Andrea Clark of the Algona FFA. Ladies and gentlemen, let us congratulate our winners in agri-science.
An awards program was established 2 years ago to support conservation efforts and healthy environmental practices in agriculture. The goal of the program is to encourage the sound management of soil and water, as well as increase member skills within their supervised agricultural experience programs by adopting alternate methods of production. The Practical Farmers of Iowa expressed the need to focus on the vital, idealistic, and increasingly popular implementation of sustainable agricultural practices. This morning, I'm pleased to call on the Education Coordinator for the Practical Farmers of Iowa, Mr. Gary Huber, to present the 1993 Sustainable Agriculture Awards. Mr. Secretary, please provide us with the name of our winner.
Justin Hawkins of the Cascade FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in sustainable agriculture. Hawkins has been involved in numerous practices to conserve energy, soil, and water, and to increase farming profits at the same time. Some of Hawkins' sustainable practices included following a crop rotation, strip planting, using a cultivator to reduce chemical costs, and improving the windbreak on the farmstead. Hawkins is the son of David and Marilyn Hawkins. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Milton Luckstead. Ladies and gentlemen, let's congratulate our winner.
There are more opportunities for FFA members to experience the action of Ag's Feature Attraction than many of us realize. Sometimes members of this outstanding organization possess certain talents which enable them to create the action I'm referring to rather than merely experiencing it. Our next group of individuals contains exactly the type of talent we need at this point in our conference. After first rehearsing as a group yesterday afternoon, they're here to entertain us this morning. FFA members, please show your enthusiasm as we welcome Farrah Bodden, the accompanist, Mr. Steve Wooden, the director, and the Iowa FFA Chorus. I was blown away. Supervised Agricultural Experience, or SAE program, which you conduct at home, can be much more than something you do just to be an FFA member. The time and energy you put into your SAE could be rewarded at the district, state, regional, and national levels through the FFA's Agricultural Proficiency Award program. This morning we will recognize individuals who have successfully built outstanding programs in 29 proficiency areas. State winners receive awards through both the Iowa and National FFA Foundations. If any of these individuals should advance to be national winners, they will receive cash awards and earn a 2-week trip to various European countries as ambassadors for agriculture. Mr. Secretary, would you please read the first round of Proficiency Award winners?
The Iowa FFA Agricultural Electrification Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Association of Electrical Cooperatives. Ian Haas of the Red Oak FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in agricultural electrification. Haas's supervised agricultural experience includes electrical work for local farmers and consists of electrical installation in barns, homes, and garages. He has much experience in wiring and installing fans, heaters, and other electrical devices. Haas has been active in FFA leadership and school activities. Haas is a nephew of Sherry Most of Red Oak. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. William Gray. Michael Metcalf of the Pleasantville FFA chapter is a second place winner. Metcalf's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Monty Collins. The Iowa FFA Agricultural Mechanics Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Central Tractor Farm and Family Center. Jeremy Clark of the Red Oak FFA chapter is Iowa's winner in the area of agricultural mechanics. Clark has completed many agricultural mechanics activities during the past 4 years on his home farm and neighboring farms. His program also includes employment at a local John Deere dealership. Clark has skills in tractor mechanics, testing electrical circuits, making pre-delivery tests on tractors, and organizing shop work areas. He also uses parts books and a microfiche system to locate parts. Clark is a nephew of Harold and Janice Manmeter. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. William Gray. Randy Main of the Bison FFA chapter at Buffalo Center is a second place winner. Maine's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dean Gersman. The Iowa FFA Agricultural Processing Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Farmland Industries Incorporated. Brian Bowers of the Alburnett FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in agricultural processing. Bowers has established his own firewood business. He exhibits proficiency in acquiring raw materials, producing a finished product, plus sales and marketing of the finished product. Bowers acknowledges customer relations as an important component to a successful retail business. Bowers is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Cliff Bowers. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Gene Mullen. Jason Wynea of the Rock Valley FFA chapter is a second place winner. Wynea's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Mark Polish. The Iowa FFA Agricultural Sales and Service Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Ag Replacements. Laura Metzger of the West Lyon FFA chapter of Inwood is Iowa's 1993 winner in agricultural sales and service. Metzger's Supervised Agricultural Experience program involves raising, drying, arranging, and selling flowers and flower arrangements. Her products are marketed through attractive displays at local craft shows. Seeds are started in the basement using grow lights. A wide variety of flowers are planted to meet customers' demands and ensure quality. Metzger is the daughter of Gary and Beth Metzger. Her agricultural education instructors and FFA advisors are Mr. Gary DeVries and Mr. David Lance. Rusty Schmidt of the Iowa River chapter at Garner is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Robert Baumgard. The Iowa FFA Beef Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Kitten Feeds Incorporated. Boo Brecht of the Marengo FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in beef production. Brecht's beef program consists of 19 registered Candia cow-calf pairs, in addition to bred heifers, bulls, and market steers. His management practices include the use of artificial insemination, preconditioning, and embryo transfer. expands his selling opportunities and makes a name for himself in the cantina industry. Breck is currently attending Kirkwood Community College and plans to expand his herd as well as attend Iowa State University to study animal science. Breck is the son of Leonard and Bobby Breck. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Andy Rowe. Jared Jark of the Wilton FFA chapter is the second place winner. Jark's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. William Hams. The Iowa FFA Cereal Grain Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the National Oats Company. Steve Brawl of the Marengo FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in cereal grain production. Brawl began his enterprise with 15 acres of milling quality oats. He has implemented an extensive marketing plan, complete with analysis of his oats. He is a son of Mr. and Mrs. Philip Brawl. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Andy Rowe. Damon Shrunk of the Maple Valley FFA chapter at Mapleton is a second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dennis Vincent. The Iowa FFA Dairy Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Tri-State Breeders. Craig Harbaugh of the G&G FFA chapter at Gothenburg is Iowa's dairy production winner in 1993. Harbaugh's supervised agricultural experience program began through his family's registered Holstein herd. He has built his herd to 13 cows and 2 replacement heifers. With the purchase of a cow from a respected cow family, Harbaugh has increased his herd's quality and has greatly increased demand for replacement heifers. Harbaugh is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Richard Harbaugh. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Steve Zaruba. Dana Bowick of the Denison-Friendly City chapter is a second place winner. Bowick's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Randall Kuhlman. The Iowa FFA Diversified Crop Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Northrop King Company. Aaron Balderston of the Auburn FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in the area of diversified crop production. Balderston's operation has included corn, soybeans, and oats for the past 4 years. He pays careful attention to the future market to spread the risk in marketing his crops. He utilizes his management skills in grain harvesting and storage to ensure a quality commodity. Balderston is the son of Randy and Carrie Balderston. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Gene Foley. Patrick Maines of the Red Oak FFA chapter is the second place winner. Maines is the son of Keith and Janet Maines of Red Oak. Maines' agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Bill Gray. The Iowa FFA Diversified Livestock Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Livestock Auction Markets Association. Dino Michelson of the Orient-Maxburg FFA chapter at Orient is Iowa's 1993 winner in diversified livestock production. Michelson's supervised agricultural experience program includes beef cattle, sheep, and farrow-to-finish swine. Each year, Michelson has increased the scope of her enterprise. Her livestock equipment inventory includes a tractor, 2 hog feeders, a 4-pen hog house, and other items. Michelson is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Rich Michelson. Her agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Ed Hansen. Travis Hicks of the Prairie Valley FFA chapter in Gowrie is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Stephen Kao. The Iowa FFA Feed and Grain Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Golden Harvest. Andrew Yedlick of the North Lynn FFA chapter at Coggin is the 1993 winner in the Iowa FFA Feed and Grain Production Contest. Yedlick's supervised agricultural experience program consists of 96 acres of oats, 124 acres of corn, and 269 hours of agricultural placement and crop placement. Yedlick has developed skills in proper fertilization, machinery repair, and proper adjustments of harvesting equipment. He has attained yields of 144 bushels per acre on corn with a break-even price of $1.60 per bushel. Yedlick is a son of Joe and Marianne Yedlick. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is his father, Mr. Joe Yedlick. David Hunt of the Red Oak FFA chapter is the second place winner. Hunt's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. William Gray. Let's have a big round of applause for all of our proficiency winners announced so far.
I first met our next speaker at the show ring of the Iowa State Fair about 2 years ago. I didn't know his name at the time, but with his easygoing personality, we had a simple conversation just the same. Since this past year, I've learned more than just his name, and our conversations have ranged from the livestock industry to FFA, life, and then some. He's one of the most dedicated professional individuals I know, and above all that, he's a good and trusted friend of mine. Please help me in welcoming to the stage for his retiring address, Fight Song, from the Southwest District, Mr. Alan Spencer.
The song you just heard was the Iowa State University Fight Song. Colleges and high schools from around the country use fight songs like that one to help their teams remember that they can win even if they did not succeed at first. Fight songs can not only be used by schools and by sports teams, but they can be used by individual people. Everyone has a fight song of their own deep down in their heart. One such person who found his fight song was a young man from the South. The young man graduated from high school and went to college. He then graduated from Southwest Texas State University with a degree in agricultural education. The young man knew he did not want to teach, so he went into the Army. While he was in the Army, he taught himself how to play the guitar from a Hank Williams songbook. The young man had always loved to sing, so when he got out of the Army, he tried his hand at singing country music. After many failures to get a recording contract, the young man decided to give up music, to take a steady job designing cattle pens. The young man's wife pleaded with him to give singing just one more year. 11 months later, the young man signed a recording contract with MCA Records. His first single release went to #1 on the country charts in 1981. Since that time, the young man has been honored with 3 gold albums and 2 platinum albums. He has also been named Country Music's Entertainer of the Year for 1989 and 1990. Of course, many of you will recognize the name of the young man, George Strait. George was ready to give up music altogether until he heard his wife singing his fight song. She gave him the will and determination to go on, even in his darkest hour. Buffet members, agriculture is in transition. It is a transition that is making agriculture more productive and more efficient. Ag production capabilities have increased tenfold in the last 50 years. There is a bright future for agriculture. Do you know why agriculture is in this situation? Do you know who is singing Ag's fight song? The FFA. The FFA is joining together in a national chorus of over 400,000 strong to sing a fight song that will not let agriculture die. You are a very important part of that fight song, and I hope that you stick around for the fireworks that await agriculture in the future. When I was in high school, people always knew when I was coming down the hall because I would whistle. However, During my senior year, for some reason, I stopped whistling. One problem haunted my mind at the time that made me quit. I had not received my Iowa FFA degree that year, and I could not do what I wanted to do most of all, to run for a state office. I had become so obsessed with the idea that I had not gotten my degree that my whole attitude changed, and I stopped whistling. Well, my family sang my fight song to cheer me and to keep me going, and then another person joined that song. My history teacher, Mrs. Robinson, saw that I was not quite myself, and she gave me this note that I still keep to this day. Mrs. Robinson had written a quote by Henry David Thoreau, which said, "If you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams, you will meet with a success found in the uncommon hours." From that point on, my whole attitude changed, and I began to whistle a fight song of my own that would not let me quit. I am glad that I did not quit. To the past Southwest District Officer team, thank you for doing a fantastic job last year, and I wish you and the new officer team the best of luck in the future. Thanks to my friends in Villisca, at Iowa State, and around Iowa for their support this year. Also, thanks to my best friends, or brothers, David, Jason, Mark, Brian, Jim, Dan, and especially those first two guys I got to know on a train between Moscow and Kiev, Eric and Dwayne. Thanks to my family, my mother Cynthia, my father Dale, and my sister Dee, for encouraging me to go on and to help me sing my fight song. Also, thanks to my FFA advisor, my dad, for encouraging me to take ag class when I was a sophomore. And especially, I thank you, the FFA members of Iowa, for allowing me to serve as a state officer this year. FFA members, when times are at their worst and you don't feel like going on, look to your friends, look to your family, and look deep within yourself to find your fight song, your ace in the hole, so to speak. And you will find a success in the uncommon hours. Thank you, and God bless.
Nobody knows. Life is a gamble, game we all play. But you need to save something for a rainy day. You've got to learn to play your cards right. If you expect to win in life, don't put it all on the line for just one throw.
Mr. President, would you please enlighten us? Next, proficiency winners across this great state of Iowa.
The Iowa FFA Floriculture Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Steppe Greenhouse Supply. Jamie Romer of the Algona FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in the area of floriculture. Romer's Supervised Agricultural Experience program consists of raising dahlias and marketing them to interested customers and enthusiasts. He has developed many skills, including proper dahlia tuber care, use of trickle irrigation, and exhibiting dahlias at shows. He uses shows to help market dahlias to others. Romer is a 1992 graduate of Algona High School and is enrolled at Iowa State University, majoring in horticulture. He is the son of Jim and Judy Romer. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Brad Grimer. Deanne Ricks of the Southern Cal FFA chapter at Lake City is the second place winner. Her agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Ed Ricks. The Iowa FFA Forage Crop Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Vermeer Manufacturing Company. Jerry Crow of the Linmar FFA chapter at Marion is Iowa's 1993 winner in forage crop production. Crow's supervised agricultural experience program includes 36 acres of hay. He uses a wide variety of harvesting methods and has invested in his own equipment, which includes rotary mower and 2 tractors. He utilizes his forage crop production in his own cattle operation. In addition, he markets a portion of his hay to farmers in the area. Crow is the son of James and Janice Crow. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dennis Selmas. Joe Bilgus of the West Bend FFA chapter is the second place winner. Bilgus' agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Clyde Johnson. The Iowa FFA Forest Management Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Tree Farm Committee, Iowa Woodland Owners Association, and the Iowa Wood Industries Association. Jason Evans of the Webster City FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 Forest Management winner. Evans' supervised agricultural experience program has included the planting of black walnut, poplar, and red oak trees. He has also invested in harvested firewood. Evans is the son of Lyle and Denise Evans. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dan McKee. Janice Evans of the Emporia-Maxburg FFA chapter is the second place winner. Evans' agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Ed Hansen. The Iowa FFA Fruit and/or Vegetable Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Cookies Food Products Incorporated. Brad Lyons of the Rockford FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 Fruit and/or Vegetable Production Proficiency winner. Lyons is at the Supervised Agricultural Experience Program and includes pumpkins, cantaloupe, squash, gourds, and watermelons, produced on a 3-acre plot. His enterprise, which originally developed from a family operation, tripled in size in 1992 due to his hard work and extensive innovations. Lyons has developed a method of mechanical weed control which decreases chemical cost in addition to improving weed suppression and increasing yields. More efficient insect control also allows to increase his sales through improved product appearance. Currently, this young person markets his produce through grocery and convenience stores as well as private sales. Lyons is the son of James and Linda Lyons. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Larry Gertz. Jeffrey Atkinson of the Dexfield FFA chapter at Redfield is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mrs. Barb Hansen. Iowa Farm, Home, and/or Farmstead Improvement Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Farmer Today. Stacy Combs of the Red Oak FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in the area of home and/or farmstead improvement. Combs' family purchased an acreage which required several improvements. Her improvement projects center around the home and livestock buildings, including remodeling the interior and exterior of the family home, renovating the farrowing house, landscaping a rock garden, and refurbishing the barn. Combs is the daughter of William and Christy Combs. Her agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Bill Dre. Brent Bergquist of the Southern Cal FFA chapter at Lake City is the second place winner. Bergquist's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Edwin Ricks. The Iowa FFA Horse Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Mintex Citrus. Ryan Strand of the Albernet FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in horse proficiency. Strand's supervised agricultural experience program includes ownership of Arabian show horses, which he also trains. He is well-traveled in national and international show circuits, including the U.S. National Arabian Championship and the Acadian National Arabian Championship. Strand is the son of Ron and Katie Strand. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Gene Bowling. Ronnie Frash of the Charles City FFA chapter is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. James Lumber. Iowa FFA Nursery Operations Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Earl May Seed and Nursery. Mike Plattner of the Linmar FFA chapter at Marion ranked Iowa's 1993 winner in nursery operations. Plattner's supervised agricultural experience program involved employment at Peck's Garden Center. He has numerous skills in nursery operations as a garden center employee. These include pruning and caring for trees and shrubs, identifying plant material, and assisting customers in selecting trees and shrubs. His major interest is in developing product knowledge and sales skills. Plattner is the son of Alan and Marilyn Plattner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dennis Selness. Jamie Stolil of the Northwest FFA chapter at Manson is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Jerry Cheesig. The Iowa FFA Oil Crop Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Stein Seed Company. Corey DeYoung of the Montezuma FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in oil crop production. DeYoung started his soybean enterprise in 1990 with 26 acres. He has increased to 50 acres of soybeans during the last 2 years of production. DeYoung finds it important to explore alternative markets and is involved firsthand in soybean promotion. He uses hedging and forward contracting to establish better markets. In the future, DeYoung is planning sales directly to soybean meal or oil processing plants. DeYoung is the son of Monty and Sarah DeYoung. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Rick Swenson. Ken Reed of the Washington FFA chapter is the second place winner. Reed's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dwayne Van Winkle. The Iowa FFA Outdoor Recreation Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Trappers Association. Ty Kukin of the Charles City FFA chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in outdoor recreation. Kukin's supervised agricultural experience program involves training and showing draft and race horses for other persons. He has completed a total of 1,280 hours of work in outdoor recreation. Kukin is the son of Arlen and Shirley Kukin. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. James Lundberg. Chad Mathis of the Sheraton FFA chapter is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Ms. Susan Grubel. FFA members and guests, please give a warm round of appreciation and applause for all our Proficiency Award winners.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you this next state officer. At the beginning of our year, when we were just elected, I knew not his name or where he is from. But over our year of service, I have learned that he takes great pride in everything that he does. From the service of the FFA to his roots of his family and home. So without further ado, I introduce to you your Northeast State Vice President with his retired address entitled Heartland, Mr. Mark L. Price.
We shall plow the plains of Iowa, sow corn, and we shall feed the world, John Deere. We shall reap a harvest from the plains of this nation, and those farmers will make this country great, Cyrus McCormick. These are two of the figureheads that agricultural sees as predominant figures in our past. John Deere from inventing the first steel-bottomed plow, which turned these prairies into prosperous farmland. To Cyrus McCormick, who invented the first reaper to help harvest the grain. Some people say the heartland goes from the Ohio River to the Missouri River. Others say it's the Mississippi Valley. Well, friends, the heartland is not a piece of land. It's not a state. It's not a region of the country. Your heartland comes from within. Everybody sets the pattern of their heartland. What you do, what you say, and how you say it. When you set your goals for life, you're setting the pattern of your heartland. Nobody knows what they're going to turn, what's going to happen around the next corner. Nobody knows what's behind an unlocked door. Friends, I would like you to sit back, look at what your heartland is. The heartland, as once said, is the greatest place on earth. The people who reside in the heartland are commonly known as the American farmer. The American farmer and their duty, as John Deere put it, is to feed the world. The farmer relies on a handshake to seal a deal, on the trust of his neighbor, and the pride of his work. A lot of this is changing now with lawyers, contracts, and lawsuits. With changing times comes changing ways. The farmer's changing to modern technology with the use of computers, electronic devices, automatic feeding systems. But when you set your goals, you need to set them in the future. This is where agriculture is going now, in the future. I set my goal to stand on the stage and give this retiring address as your Northeast District Vice President. If you set your goals, you shall receive them. Like I said last night during our Vesper celebration, that if given the chance, you can do anything you set your mind to. A wise man once said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to show you a few thousand of these words right now that sum up my heartland. Please turn your attention toward the center screen. Find out where it leads. Your mission, folks, is to set those goals and set them high. Because at one time, we will all have a moment in the spotlight. It may not be up here, but somewhere, at some time, you'll all be in the spotlight. It's at home, church, school, or wherever. I'd like to thank these guys standing over here to the side. One of the greatest years of my life. Another person who helped guide me through my years. My grandfather sitting over here. One of the greatest men I know. Thank you all, and God bless.
Alan Spencer, would you please announce our final round of Proficiency Award winners in their areas?
The Iowa FFA Placement in Agriculture Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Farm Bureau Federation. Casey Cash of the Northeast FFA at Goose Lake is Iowa's 1993 winner in the area of placement in production. Cash's supervised agricultural experience program consists of working as a hired hand for Weiss Brothers farming operation. Cash has worked over 5,592 hours in the past 3 years, gaining experiences in all aspects of crop and livestock production. He has assisted in remodeling the farrowing house, taking soil samples for testing, completing cost analysis for finishing cattle, and reworking waterways by bulldozing and reseeding. Cash is the son of John and Carol Cash. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Rusty Shockley. Dean Abramsack of the Linbar FFA chapter at Merritt is the second place winner. Abramsack's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dennis Selness. The Iowa FFA Poultry Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Turkey Federation. David Moline of the Northwest Webster FFA chapter at Manson is Iowa's 1993 winner in poultry production. Moline's enterprise consisted of 13,874 tom turkeys. Accurate record keeping and good management allowed him to add a fourth block to his scope in 1992 to make it a year-round operation. Moline is the son of John and Gail Moline. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Jerry Cheeson. Carissa Wall of the Iowa Falls Alden FFA chapter is the second place winner. Wall's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Bruce Moore. The Iowa FFA Sheep Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Sheep Industry Association. Grant A. Moline of the Northwest Webster FFA chapter at Manson is the winner of the 1993 Iowa FFA Sheep Production Proficiency. Moline owns 25 crossbred ewes, 1 ram, and 42 head of lamb. Recognizing the demands of efficiencies in the lamb and wool market, Moline has developed excellent marketing skills as well as production skills. Moline is the son of Gail and John Moline of Manson. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Jerry Cheesing. David Zuba of the Maquoketa Valley FFA chapter at Delhi is the second place winner. Zuba's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Brett Iverson. The Iowa FFA Soil and Water Management Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Association of Soil and Water Conservation District Commissioners. Mark Neighbor of the North Lynn FFA chapter at Coggin is Iowa's 1993 winner in soil and water management. Neighbor uses a wide variety of practices to protect the soil and water resources on his family farm. These practices include crop rotations, reduced tillage, and a reconstructed farm pond. Neighbor is the son of Kent and Kay Neighbor. His agricultural education Instructor and FFA Advisor is Mr. Joe Gedlick. Travis Kimberling of the Southern Cal FFA Chapter at Lake City is the second place winner. Kimberling's Agricultural Education Instructor and FFA Advisor is Mr. Ed Ricks. The Iowa FFA Specialty Animal Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by Four Seasons Fundraising. Rebecca Goodhue of the Indianola FFA Chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in Specialty Animal Production. Goodhue's Supervised Agricultural Experience Program consisted of ownership of 8 adult Basset Hounds. From these parent stock, she sells pets as well as purebred dogs. She has recently initiated a stud service program to expand her marketing opportunities. Goodhue is the daughter of Daryl and Evan D. Goodhue. Her agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Gene Baumgart. Jamie Merrill of the Animalsa FFA Chapter is the second place winner. Merrill's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mrs. Barb Lemmer. The Iowa FFA Specialty Crop Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by American Cyanamid. Adam Boddicker of the North Glen FFA Chapter at Coggin is Iowa's 1993 winner in specialty crop production. Boddicker's crop enterprise consisted of 15 acres of seed corn production. He also owns a 5% share of the family seed corn picking business. Boddicker is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Mark Boddicker. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Joe Yedlick. Amy Lee of the West Lyon FFA Chapter at Inwood is the second place winner. Lee's agricultural education instructors and FFA advisors are Mr. Gary DeVries and Mr. David Lance. The Iowa FFA Swine Production Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Pork Foundation. Corey Fair of the West Bend Hawkeye FFA Chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in the area of swine production. Fair has expanded his supervised agricultural experience program from a small feeder pig operation into a sizable farrow-to-finish and custom feeding operation. He has also involved the Pig Champ computerized record-keeping system into his operation to maximize record-keeping efficiency. He also pen-mates all of his sows to increase boar efficiency and improve the conception rate. Fair is the son of Dan and Eunice Fair. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Clyde Johnson. Michael Hatcher of the Montezuma FFA Chapter is the second place winner. Hatcher's agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Rick Swenson. The Iowa FFA Turf and Landscape Management Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa Professional Lawn Care Association. Jason Gates of the LaPorte City Dysart FFA of LaPorte City is Iowa's 1993 winner in turf and landscape management. Gates Enterprise consisted of a landscaping and lawn care business which provided many services including chemical treatment of lawns, trees, and shrubs, landscaping projects, tree pruning, lawn mowing, and landscape design. He cared for 58 lawns and coordinated 11 landscaping projects. Gates has developed an extensive landscape inventory and marketing plan. Besides using local newspapers and business cards, his plan includes work uniforms and vehicle advertising. Gates is the son of Gary and Judy Gates. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Ron Gordon. William Erb of the Grettinger FFA is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Dale Hoffman. The Iowa FFA Wildlife Management Proficiency Awards are sponsored by the Iowa FFA Alumni Association. Elmer Zog of the West Bend Hawkeye FFA Chapter is Iowa's 1993 winner in wildlife management. Zog's winning program consisted of planting several hundred trees and shrubs and stocking ponds with various species of fish. He also raised and released pheasants, turkeys, quail, and ducks. Zog developed a new pond on the family farm and raised 2,000 catfish to restock 3 ponds. Zog is the son of Martin and Doris Zog. his agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Clyde Johnson. Neil Lemke of the Guthrie Center FFA chapter is the second place winner. His agricultural education instructor and FFA advisor is Mr. Jim Calvin. The Ag Communications Award is a new proficiency and was established in the past 2 years. The award's purpose is to recognize outstanding students preparing for careers in Ag Communications through their SAE programs. Receiving $100 from the Iowa FFA Foundation is Lisa Lynch from the Cascade FFA. FFA members and guests, please help me in congratulating all of our Proficiency Award winners and thank their sponsors.
Earlier this morning, we witnessed the tremendous talent to be enjoyed at our 65th State Leadership Conference with our FFA Chorus. Another group met for the first time yesterday as well to prepare an entertaining program for you this morning. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jerry Ellingson and the Iowa FFA Band to the 65th Annual Iowa FFA Leadership Conference. Mr. Secretary, do you have any announcements at this time?
Yes, Mr. President. Would Dan Lorch from Lake Park report to the media room? A reminder to all FFA chapters who have contributed to the Iowa FFA Foundation, please report to your designated seating area immediately. And will Eric Traeger, the Audubon FFA advisor, please report to the Urbandale room.
Gary.
In January, a $2,500 scholarship was awarded based on an essay entitled Producing and Marketing Beef Cattle to Meet Consumer Demand. Okay, so maybe the title wasn't really exciting, but the message in it was good enough to be selected over 100 other applicants nationwide. The leader would like to say it was his brilliant way with words which won the scholarship, but he knows better. He earned $2,500 in a trip to Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of winter, simply for identifying the consumer as the most important priority to ensure the success of the beef industry in the future. Back here in Iowa, there is an organization which identified you as its #1 priority 7 years ago. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called the Iowa FFA Foundation, and it is responsible for providing about 95% of the awards you receive involving cash, plaques, or scholarships. The Iowa FFA Foundation has invested a great deal of time and money providing opportunities and rewards for you as one of its preferred customers. Customers of the Iowa FFA Foundation can honestly tell you that membership has its advantages, as most of them never need to pay for the goods and services they receive. Every once in a while, however, we stumble across individuals and groups who want to give something back. It is those groups we will honor this morning by presenting them with a certificate of appreciation. To begin our FFA Foundation Awards presentations, let's acknowledge that even an organization as strong and progressive as ours could not thrive without the extensive financial support of outstanding friends of the FFA and business industry and as individuals. The Iowa FFA Foundation Sponsoring Committee is a diverse group of individuals who work together to secure sponsorship for various FFA activities. Many of their contributions are for day-to-day operation of the Iowa FFA Foundation, while other donations are targeted directly for special projects which positively impact you, the members. To give the status report on the Iowa FFA Foundation is the chairperson of the sponsoring committee. FFA members and guests, please help me welcome Joan O'Brien.
Hello. As chair of the sponsoring committee, I also serve as vice president on the foundation board. And I'd like to take a minute to recognize the other foundation board members. Serving for as president of IBATA is Bill Drake from Red Oak. The past president for IBATA is Jerry Chizik from Manson. Also the alumni president, Dwayne Flathers from DeWitt, serves on the board. The FFA president, Dwayne Lagley, and past president, Doug Reynolds, and Wayne Natras, and myself. For a few words about the sponsoring committee. The committee is responsible for establishing, organizing, and coordinating fundraising efforts which benefit FFA members and chapters. The past year has been spent soliciting contributions for both established FFA Foundation programs and awards, and also worked on the Leadership Development Center project. Total dollars brought in this year since the last state FFA convention amount to $365,511. These monies are used for the numerous awards for FFA members, scholarships, teaching materials, teacher in-service, general fund, and the Leadership Development Center. At this time, I'd like to introduce the committee members that are with us today. Dwayne Bennick with Iowa Farm Business Association in Ames, Mark Bergman, Farmland Industries out of Des Moines, Dwayne Flathers, the FFA Alumni President from DeWitt, Ken Gregerson, Kent Pease in Muscatine, Iowa, Dick Harris, Farm Bureau Federation out of Des Moines, Dave Binau with Pioneer Hybrid International out of Johnston, and Clay Miller with the Breton State Bank out of Jefferson. Other committee members that were not able to be with us today were Steve Berger from Wellman, Joel Brickmeyer with Iowa Cattlemen's Association, Kevin Eplin from Monsanto, Mark Fisher from Members Only Network, and Gordon Peterson from Hot Company. Thank you.
We want to thank you, Joan, for everything that you have given the FFA in Iowa, both through your time and your efforts in fundraising on our behalf. As a small token of our appreciation, please accept this certificate. And now I'd like to call on the Iowa FFA Band for an exciting presentation this morning. Mr. Jerry Ellingson.
Good morning, FFA members. We'd like to perform for you this morning 2 selections. The first one will be a Bette Midler tune entitled "The Wind Beneath My Wings."